You're a bad person, you know that.
Aren't you just as bad for listening to what the bad woman says? So, you're okay with Catherine then?
It's fine. After all, I can't even think of her as a woman anymore.
My husband, Alex, and my real sister, Sarah. Certainly, it wasn't their first encounter. As soon as they're alone, is this how it's gonna be? I felt something boiling deep down in my gut. Leaving Alex and Sarah behind, the three of us went to a botanical garden. It was also a great day for a drive. As we entered the highway, my daughter Emily said, "Oh yeah, you know what? What's up?"
Mom, I made sure the door was locked.
At that moment, probably both Mike and I froze. What Emily was referring to was the entrance to the basement where the two were supposed to be. My name is Catherine, a 35-year-old housewife, currently living with my husband, Alex, 2 years my senior, and our 8-year-old daughter, Emily. Once I've thought, wouldn't it be nice to have one more child? Ultimately, there were 2 reasons why it ended up being just Emily. One was that I myself couldn't dream of having siblings. I have one sister. Even to an outsider's eyes, it was clear that my parents favored her. I didn't like my parents for favoring my sister, nor did I like myself for hating my sister. That's why I was afraid to give Emily siblings. My sister, Sarah, was cute even from my young sister's perspective since she was little. Brightly colored clothes suited her, and she had large, double-lidded eyes. Her features were deep and well-defined. She was always smiling and good at acting spoiled. On the other hand, I had inner double eyelids. My pitch black coarse hair made it impossible to do any hairstyle and always made my mother cry.
Oh, Catherine's hair is so hard to make cute.
I hated my mother's size. The main reason I went to a university in the city and then looked for a job was to get away from my home. Away from my sister and my parents who favored her. But then Sarah came back home. I learned about it from a call from my mom at home. "What's up? That's unusual."
Well, Sarah has come back home again.
Again? Yes, again. Sarah had been married twice before. The first time was right after she graduated from college. To put it bluntly, it was a shotgun wedding. It's now called a blessed marriage, but at that time, Sarah's situation was more of a no other choice kind. Her partner, Sam, was 5 years older than Sarah. They met at a mixer, and the aggressive Sarah pushed and pushed until she got pregnant before finding a job, leading to their marriage. Sam was considered a good match by our parents at the time. His parents also initially thought they were getting a beautiful bride. But it didn't take long for Sarah to show her true colors. Within 5 years, Sarah's habit of splurging, having been spoiled by our parents buying her anything, showed up there too. Sam, who had been saving up for their future home, found out she had been dipping into the savings. He could no longer trust Sarah and initiated a divorce. However, since their son, Mike, was still young at the time, the custody went to Sarah. Sam was incredibly frustrated by this. But how come she lasted quite a while with her next husband then?
Well, she cheated.
My mother's voice sounded weighed down. A year after divorcing Sam, Sarah quickly found her next partner and remarried. Her being in her 20s at the time probably played a big part. A divorced, single mother in her 20s with beauty but a complicated past. The next guy was the manager at her part-time job. Indeed, her looks and outward charm played a significant role. And with a marriage to the manager, concerned about appearances, she quit the part-time job altogether.
This time, I really told her to cut back on the spending. But,
Well, her spending habit was somewhat curbed. The main reason was that the next guy earned less than Sam. But this man had lost his parents early on and had inherited the house. That must have been Sarah's target. They didn't need to spend their income on a home. She might have thought that if she tried the same thing again, she'd end up without a host to leech off of this time.
But things were fine while Mike was in elementary school. Just during elementary school. You'd understand, being a mom yourself, the interactions between mothers and such.
I nodded emphatically. Indeed, being busy with those interactions left no room for spare time.
But once Mike got to middle school, those interactions stopped, and she found herself with too much free time.
Free time? She cheated because she was bored?
Well, yes, the men Sarah chooses are always nice as husbands, but as for being attractive as men.
I was appalled. My mother was saying this.
And now, Sarah and Mike are living with us.
Hey, Mom, speaking of which, she cheated and got divorced, right? Could she afford to pay alimony?
Do you think she could? We had to pay for her.
Not just a loan, then. As usual, too lenient.
And so, Catherine. She said she'd be visiting you from time to time, so.
What? You've got to be kidding. Why should I have to deal with my sister now?
What are you saying? She's your only sister, right?
Here we go again.
You've always been cold-hearted. Sarah said so too. You hardly ever come home.
That's right. Why should I return to a place that feels so uncomfortable?
Please, I'm asking you. Mike seems uncomfortable too, having switched schools several times.
When she said that, I was speechless. Mike is really a good kid. Eventually, the two of them started coming over all the time. Now, for some reason, we live in the next state over from our hometown. And it's only about an hour's drive away. Having Sarah as my sister is the first reason I couldn't dream of having siblings and didn't want more children. The other reason is that ever since having a child, my relationship with my husband has become sexless. It all started with a transfer and a move. Initially, we lived close to the city center after getting married. But around the time we finished dealing with pregnancy and childbirth, sudden transfer orders. We ended up moving to a relatively large regional city. That's when Alex suddenly said,
Land is cheap here. Let's build a house here.
Alex chose the eastern edge of the state. And so, we ended up living an hour's drive away from my parents' house, which is on the western edge of the neighboring state. And the house was a bit unusual. No, it looked like a normal, modern, prefabricated square house on the outside. But Alex had built a basement in this house.
I've always wanted a studio.
That was news to me. I knew he was knowledgeable about art, having chosen museums for our dates before we were married. But I didn't think he actually painted.
Huh? Didn't I mention it? I was in the art club in high school. I would have liked to go to art school if possible.
But it seems that even taking the entrance exams for art school, a notorious money pit, was out of the question for Alex's family. This had been a lingering regret for him, and he had always wanted a studio when building his own home. But why basement?
We need stable, north-facing light coming from above.
As a result, the first floor was elevated to create a semi-basement underneath. The studio was placed where windows allowed for light. Since the studio alone would be too large, I decided to use half of the room right down the stairs as a storage area. In this region we moved to, it's said that a major earthquake will inevitably hit someday. So, it seems normal for homes to be designed for earthquake resistance and to have supplies stocked. Right after moving, I got various supplies ready and stored them. I also use that space for storing outdoor gear I use occasionally and for fruit wines and miso I make as a hobby. The inner door of the studio is solid, lockable from both the inside and outside. Once locked from the inside, it becomes the room of Alex's dream. In contrast, the entrance door to the storage area has only a very simple latch. Since the inner door of the studio is solid, not much importance was placed on the storage door. Alex would retreat to this basement whenever he had free time.
Hey, Mom. Dad hasn't played with me much since we moved here.
Emily's words left me sighing. It was still okay when it was just built. But gradually, a small refrigerator, extra bed, and a tablet device were brought in, and he would often stay overnight there before a day off, barely coming out except to use the bathroom on the first floor. Hey, why don't you take Emily to the amusement park once in a while?
Are you trying to take away my only fun? This is how I refresh, so I can keep up with my daily work.
The arguments increased, and our marital life decreased. I lived my days with Emily on the upper floor. Originally, the bedroom had 2 semi-double beds, but often one went unused. I frequently ended up sleeping with Emily. Amidst all this, Sarah started to be dropping by my place more often lately. And she brought Mike along.
It's too noisy at our place. Your place is spacious, and Mike can study, right?
Saying this, she would leave Mike and go out. Mike quietly did his homework or revisions, or played with Emily, waiting for his mother to return. One day, Sarah noticed our basement.
Oh, what's this?
That's Alex's studio. Don't go in, or you'll upset him. Even if you're the sister, never. Really? Alex paints? Huh, interesting, she said at the time, and didn't say much more. But that day, Sarah stayed until late in the evening, which was unusual for her. And at dinner, which I made a bit more of, she started.
So Alex paints.
Oh, yes. It's a bit embarrassing.
Not at all. It's a wonderful hobby.
Well, my family doesn't really see it that way.
Oh dear, but art is often misunderstood by the average person, isn't it?
Sarah's sweet words gave me a bad feeling.
Landscapes, perhaps.
Right now, yes. Landscapes or still lifes. I used to enjoy drawing portraits in high school.
Portraits, wow.
Sarah's eyes widened.
Then maybe I could be a model.
What? You do that, Sarah?
I've always wanted someone to paint my portrait.
But Sarah, aren't you job hunting right now? Yes, officially. She spends her days driving around under that pretense.
What are you talking about? Even if I'm job hunting, I have days off, right?
That's right. If it's the weekend, I'm free too. Besides, Catherine, you probably don't know about model fees. Having someone close offer to do it is really a blessing.
Ah, So what about our picnic next time?
Yes. We had planned to go to the local zoo and botanical garden for a picnic next weekend, for the first time in a while. Then Mike chimed in.
Hey, Emily, would you mind if I came along?
Mike, are you coming?
Yay! I've wanted to visit this zoo and botanical garden for a while.
Sarah promptly said, "Sounds great. So, Catherine, leave Alex to me and in exchange, go ahead and take Mike with you," grinning at me. This woman has set her sights on my husband. Just like old times.
Then, shall we have a little meeting now?
Sounds good.
And after dinner, the two of them headed down to the basement. The rest of us continued eating, with 2 extra plates of leftovers in front of us.
I'm sorry about my mom.
Saying that, Mike apologized to me. You don't have to apologize for that, Mike. It's just modeling, after all.
Is that so?
He gave him a wry smile. Then, after a silent meal, he stood by me to help with the dishes. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
No, I'm used to it.
Mike took on the task of drying the dishes and putting them away. But even as he did, he seemed like he wanted to say something. What's up?
Catherine, actually.
He looked at me saying that with a somewhat desperate expression. Is there something you want to tell me? I lowered my voice. Right? He must have chosen to help me here so he could talk without Emily hearing.
My mom always lures men like that.
You knew, Mike?
Yes, because she kicked me out of the house to cheat on someone recently.
I felt a chill down my spine. Really?
Yes, the dad until recently was really diligent about work and treated me like his real son, but he often worked late into the night. Taking advantage of that, my mom would bring men home she met somewhere. So, I took photos and recorded their voices to tell Dad.
Saying that, Mike bit his lip.
It was so frustrating to see such a good person deceived.
I clenched the dishcloth in my hand tightly.
Then, Dad went ahead and filed for divorce after he was well informed.
Does that mean the divorce was initiated because of you, Mike?
Yes, it was too sad to see Dad deceived by such a person like my mother. Dad kept it a secret that the evidence came from me to avoid getting me into trouble since he couldn't take me with him.
That's what happened. So, you're telling me this because you want me to do something?
In a little while, Catherine, I think you should go down and check on them.
Understood, I replied. For the next 2 hours, Mike kept Emily entertained with games.
I love Mike so much.
This well-behaved child was also good at handling Emily. During breaks from the game, he'd search on the tablet about the zoo and botanical garden, getting Emily excited about what's there and what she wants to see. While the two were happily frolicking, I quietly went down to the basement. Both the entrance to the storage and to the studio were left open. I silently entered the storage without turning on the light and moved to a spot where I could see into the studio without being seen. What I saw was Sarah sitting on a still life podium, embracing Alex. Even from a distance, I could see buttons on Sarah's blouse undone.
You're a bad person, you know that.
Aren't you just as bad for listening to what the bad woman says? So, you're okay with Catherine then?
It's fine. I just can't see her as a woman anymore.
They laughed quietly together, followed by unbearable sounds. Certainly, it wasn't their first encounter. As soon as they're alone, is this how it's gonna be? I felt something boiling deep down in my gut. But I didn't barge in yelling right then. The phrase of art model has a grounded reason. Even dressed like that, Sarah would probably casually say, "There's such a thing as nude modeling, you know?" as the punchline. And Alex will probably come up with excuses like saying it's to understand the lines of the body. I needed something more decisive. I silently went back upstairs. Upon seeing me return, Mike said, "Just like I told you, right?"
What should we do, Catherine?
He asked in a mature, cool tone. "I have an idea."
Oh, you do? Then I'll brace myself too.
And then the weekend arrived. On Saturday, the day was clear and sunny. Warmer than expected. Perfect for a picnic on the zoo and botanical gardens grassy field. Emily and I were looking for outdoor gear in the storage. By this time, the door to the studio was closed. Sarah, who had brought Mike along, quickly entered the studio where Alex was and closed the door behind her. We don't know what's happening on the other side of the door right now. What do we need?
A sheet, and,
Thinking about if the wind picked up, I also packed a pop-up tent, pegs, and ropes to keep it from flying away.
Catherine, can we use our tent there?
We'll ask at the entrance. As we continued our conversation, we moved various items out. Mike and I both had our hands full, so we left the door open. Then the three of us got into the car and set off. It was also a great day for a drive. As we got onto the main road, Emily suddenly said, "Oh yeah, you know what? What's up?"
Mom, I made sure the house was locked up.
What?
Because both Mom and Mike had their hands full. It's not good to leave the house open when we're going out, right?
At that moment, probably both Mike and I froze. Emily knew about the existence of the studio, but didn't really understand what it was. Alex takes care of cleaning and everything in the studio himself. I've also been told not to touch anything. So, to ensure Emily wouldn't go in and move anything around, the door to the studio is usually locked during the day. But today...
Hey, Emily, why did you lock the storage door?
Mike asked her.
Because I saw the door to the back room, which is usually firmly closed, swinging back and forth. Mom, the back room should always be locked, right? But I don't know where the key is. So I thought I should lock it from the outside.
I see. There is indeed a proper lock on the door to the back room. But the one on the outside is just a latch. So even Emily could close it. I see. That's right. I imagined the situation and felt a smile creeping on my face. Then I told Emily, "Hey, Emily, after this, let's go visit Grandpa and Grandma on Dad's side."
Really?
Is that okay?
This was all part of the plan. Visiting the in-laws has been scheduled. It's been a while, so let's stay overnight. I added that to the plan. And the next evening, after spending a joyful time at the in-laws' house after 2 hours' drive from the zoo and botanical garden area, we had dinner, breakfast, and lunch. It's about time we head back. Oh no, stay a bit longer, as we were doing push and pull over D. A classic telephone rang cut through. Oh, that's mine. The police?
What's that, Catherine? Can you put it on speaker?
At my Phil Jack's request, I switched the phone to speaker mode and answered. Yes, hello.
Sorry to bother you. This is the state police. Is this Catherine's phone?
Oh yes, this is Catherine. The person claiming to be a police officer seems to have a lot of noise in the background, with the sounds of sirens blaring. What's happened?
Oh, yes. We received reports from your neighbors about the sound of a window breaking and a foul smell coming from the basement of your house.
What? I let out a bewildered cry.
What could have happened?
Alex is supposed to stay at home today, isn't he?
So, what could it be? I said to my in-laws. These in-laws are truly wonderful people who adore their rarely seen granddaughter, Emily, very much. The only concern about them was mostly calling to vent over their son suddenly building a home far away. Honestly, compared to my own parents, they're incomparably more decent people. They warmly welcomed Mike, who is after all my nephew. I asked the police, so, what exactly happened?
It seems that Alex was the one who broke the window.
Could you elaborate a little more?
Let me explain chronologically.
Then we'll go play games over there.
Okay.
Sensing the atmosphere, Mike took Emily away from the scene. Certainly, it wasn't a story meant for Emily's ears. Then the police officer began to explain to us. A neighbor returning from shopping was startled by the sound of breaking glass and peeked into our house. Hesitantly, but considering they were in regular contact with us through neighborhood circulars, the neighbor entered the yard to find out which window it was. It turned out to be a window for light in the basement, which normally went unnoticed. In a panic, the neighbor looked through the broken spot, smelled a terrible odor, and saw a naked man and woman wrapped in blankets or sheets, cowering in pain. Then, they hurriedly called the police. That naked person turned out to be Alex. The expressions on my in-laws' faces twisted instantly.
What is he doing?
Despite the anger of Jack, I kept the conversation going. So, about the sound of ambulances.
Ah, yes. When we approached, they said they were locked in and injured, asking for help. So we called an ambulance and rescue team.
That's quite a response.
The sighs from my in-laws grew louder.
The front door was locked, and due to security reasons, we decided to remove a window pane to send in rescue personnel and saved out the two.
Thank you. But what about the injuries?
Trying to get out through the window, Alex fell from a stand and severely injured his back.
My in-laws were so shocked, their jaws might as well have dropped. That's when I asked another crucial question. The other woman, could her name be Sarah by any chance? She's my sister.
Ah, your sister. Is she the woman?
The police officer hesitated slightly. What happened?
Ah, yes. Indeed, she identified herself as such. We've contacted your family as well. But it turns out she was the source of the bad smell.
What?
It seems she may have been chilled from yesterday. There were many beer cans around, and, well, she had an accident in her undressed state, leading to a significant amount of waste scattered around your basement.
Oh, yeah.
Attempting to at least clean themselves, they used the stored bottled water in the storage, which spread further around, soaking into the clothes they had left, affecting both of them.
My in-laws' faces twitched at the mention of the clothes. So, where is my husband now? Which hospital?
Ah, yes.
The police provided the name and address of the hospital and then hung up. I was utterly bewildered by the turn of events. Surely, I was aware we had locked them in, thinking it would yield evidence of the affair, allowing Mike and me to thoroughly investigate the studio later. But this outcome was unforeseen. Being locked in meant no access to the bathroom, leading to a major incident involving the police, ambulance, and rescue team.
Stay strong, Catherine.
Mike, noticing the call had ended, rushed over to shake me. Then, he suddenly prostrated before my in-laws.
I'm terribly sorry for what my mother has done.
This is now when I must respond properly to his improvisation.
Mike, did you hear that?
I heard the name Sarah. I'm sorry, that's my mother. She was targeting Alex.
What did you say? So when she said she'd model. I deliberately raised my voice.
Yes, she used me to get the two of you out.
No way.
I'm really sorry, Catherine.
No, it's not something a mere child like you should apologize for. Jack, Ava, could you please go to Alex's?
Why not? We need to understand the situation clearly. Yes, that's what we should do.
But what about you, Catherine?
I'm sorry, Jack, Ava. Right now, I don't know what to do. I'm so shaken. I feel like I might cause an accident if I drive.
I see. Well then, we'll go check on him.
Thank you. I expressed my gratitude to both of them. After they left, it goes without saying that Mike and I firmly shook hands, having pulled off our charade. Then, 2 weeks later, my lawyer reported that things seemed to be going well. Yes, I had been staying at my in-laws' house, planning my next move. First, I called the neighbor who first discovered them, to gather details about how the two were rescued. The neighbor was a person good at spreading gossip and sharing what they see and hear. I had always valued our regular interactions to prevent any bad rumors, but it proved useful this time.
You know, it's like the neighborhood was filled with police cars, fire trucks, and ambulances, right? It was quite the scene. And about your husband, well, how do I put it?
I encouraged her to continue speaking.
And the other woman, the smell was unbelievable. What did she eat to produce such a smell?
When I revealed that the woman was my sister, she exclaimed, "Really? Oh my. So, to put it simply, your husband, he was taken by your sister?" Her voice was surprisingly lively. So, I responded in a voice that sounded like I was putting on a brave front as much as I could. "It seems so." "Such a pit," she said, though clearly excited by the drama. Thanks to this first responder, it became clear there were many witnesses to the affair. The neighborhood had already seen the commotion. My words will likely spread rumors about his affair partner quickly. Next, I sought a lawyer who could secure favorable terms for a divorce and a restraining order against Sarah. At this time, I had no desire to see Alex's face. So, I decided to finalize everything through the lawyer. When Emily asked, "Can't we go home?" I explained, there was a burglar in the house. Well, technically a burglar. The burglar, well, took Daddy away. Emily tilted her head in confusion, seemingly having lost any expectations or affection for a father who had stopped playing with her. Meanwhile, Alex's incessant calls were non-stop. Of course, I ignored them all while keeping the answering machine on. Apparently, the fall had broken his hip, requiring a long hospital stay. According to my in-laws, not only Sarah but Alex also reeked terribly.
My own son, I'm utterly dismayed.
Caught in an affair with his wife's sister, Ava was furious, lecturing him at the hospital. Jack was so dismayed he talked about disowning him. Messages kept piling up on my answering machine, perhaps as payback for the scolding from those two.
Hey, what's going on? I'm injured here. Why aren't you showing up? You're the one who locked us in, aren't you? A lawyer came. Divorce, are you sure? I'll never agree to it. What? Emily locked the door? No way. Hey, why is there a video going around online? Did you do something? Fine, I'll agree to the divorce. But isn't this amount for alimony too much? Please, even if we have to sell this house, no one will buy it with the basement in its current state. Cut down on the alimony, please. Please. Answer the phone at least once.
The last messages were already in tears. Calls from Sarah also came, but they were incomprehensible, so I turned the volume down to 0 as soon as I recognized it was her. I couldn't let Emily hear such foul language. Meanwhile, Mike made contact with his biological father.
Mom never told me his cell phone number, but Grandma gave me the home phone. She said to call in an emergency.
An emergency?
Yo, Grandma always regretted not being able to get custody from Mom. Back then, there wasn't enough evidence, and I ended up with Mom.
That was the case.
But with what happened this time, I think it's clear she no longer qualifies as a parent, and I hope things were like that.
Mike spoke with determination.
I've been teased a lot because of the name Mom gave me.
Really?
If we both had to be named Mike, I wish they'd at least picked a different spelling for mine. What? Am I a comedian or something? I've switched schools twice, and both times I got the same kind of ribbing.
Wow. I couldn't help but sympathize with Mike. His name isn't exactly a fancy name, but it was enough to be teased as a new student. His name used to be famous for basketball, but now he's more of a comedian, I guess.
Dad said he was against that name. Just for that, I've always wanted to go with him.
I see.
So thank you, Catherine, for giving me a chance this time.
Oh my, thank you. You know, your mom has always liked taking things that are mine. I see. Mike looked up to the sky. But you know, it's not about things, it's about people. Those who get caught are also at fault. At least, if you have a family, you should resist being lured. If you can't, then that person is no good. So, I continued. We're both rid of something bad, aren't we? After that, my divorce was finalized. I secured custody of Emily, along with property division, alimony, and child support. The dream house was sold to pay for everything, but it was bought at a low price due to the incident and the mess in the basement.
That's why I'm saying you're being stupid. Studios or studies are something you make after the kids are gone.
Jack left these words, saying I would cut ties with Alex. Ava, exasperated by her son complaining about Emily locking the door, followed her husband's lead. They both still wanted to see their granddaughter. I'm grateful to them and plan to keep in touch. As for Sarah and my parents, they were furious at being sued for alimony. But my lawyer mentioned, by the way, Catherine has completed the disinheritance process. She wants nothing to do with you. If you messes up again, she'll probably get a restraining order against you. Sarah then grabbed a vase and struck my lawyer with it. This led to an assault charge, and Sarah spent a short time behind bars. More alimony, and my parents had to sell their house too. Such is the result of indulgence.
Mom, see you later.
See you later, Emily. I moved to a more distant place, far from my childhood home and the previous house. Good morning. As I greet upon arriving at work, looking forward to working with you today. My current employer, Sam, replies, yes, it's Mike's father, Sam. I'm now employed as an office worker in his company, a solid business rooted in the community. On days off, Emily begs me to visit Mike, who's back with his father. Sam's family welcomes us too. They're grateful to me giving them a reason for Mike to come back. These people, unlike my parents, are truly kind. At last, I've found peace among good people. From now on, I'm determined to live a bright and happy life for Emily's sake.